Hi there, I'm David Batsoffen and I host a travel blog called Travel and Things. And this is In Conversation With. And today I'm talking to author and fellow traveler David Fleminger, and we're talking about his new book called More Than Daisies, A Hidden History of Namaqualand and the Richtersveld. David, how are you doing?
David, lovely to see you again. We need to do a trip sometime. We need to get away. I haven't left the city in 8 months. I'm going mad.
You know, this is ridiculous. I think we've both been non-traveling travel writers for the time of lockdown. And I know the first time that I was allowed out with permits and all that type of stuff, I'd forgotten how to drive. It was the weirdest, you know, you arrive at a venue and you sort of go, have I got my mask on? Have I sanitized to within an inch of my life? All of those type of things. And of course, the Namaqualand and the Richtersveld is a huge travel destination for a lot of people. It's on many, many bucket lists, ours included, because of the daisies, obviously.
It definitely is, and so it should be.
Yeah.
The spring flowers in particular are just a remarkable thing to see. There's no two ways about it. It's an amazing, amazing spectacle. In addition to that, it is also an incredible landscape. Even without the flowers, it's a remarkable landscape, and the little towns and dorpies and the people and the culture all combine to make it a really unusual, really special place. And unless you live in Cape Town, it's quite inaccessible. You know, you've got to plan for it, and you can't just come and pop in a car and go, because you've got to get your timing right, which we can talk about in a moment. But yes, it should be on your bucket list. It's a miracle of nature, and we are honored to have it relatively close to us, and we should be going out to check it out as much as we can.
Do you think that, given what COVID has done, not only to our country, but to the universe as such, and I know, for instance, I've said to my wife, I'm not climbing on a plane to go overseas anytime soon.
No way.
Do you believe that people will start looking at local venues like this, and B, so start supporting small town South Africa, many of which have been killed by the inroads that hurtle past at speed, and there's no reason to stop at these small dorpies, you know, Hanover, Colesberg, all of those you can bypass without a thought. And maybe now is a good time to go, all right, let's look at this. Let's plan for next year, for spring next year.
So I think that is probably very much, I think that is happening. And I think it's already started happening. I know that just from the people I know, since we went to level 1 lockdown, a lot of people have just said, I've got to get out of town. And whether it's the south coast of Durban, or whether it's the Kruger, or whether it's something a little bit closer. I know I'm going to the Drakensberg in December. I can't wait, because I haven't been out of Joburg since February, I think was the last time I left Joburg. And I think people are definitely taking that opportunity where money allows, because things are tight. Let's be honest, it hasn't been an easy year. But yes, I think that the COVID could potentially have a good impact on our local tourism, because, like you say, who wants to deal with an airport right now? It's inconceivable as far as I'm concerned to deal with an airport. And I know that this last spring flower season, which is probably over by now, I don't think there's much left, because there's only a narrow window for the spring flowers. But I think it was quite busy and quite well attended. I know Nivotville in particular always gets full over flower season. And I think that this could just be a shot in the arm for the local tourism industry to appreciate those places that we may not have experienced or taken the time to find.
The interesting thing for me, having lived in small town South Africa, I lived in Nopoort for a year in a different lifetime back in the 70s. Hence my love of not only small town, but the people who live in those towns. Because everybody, look, it works both for and against you, because they're very supportive. The locals are always supportive, but they also know your business. So if you're walking down the street, somebody will stop you and go, why are you here? You've got a dentist appointment. You know, you had a dentist appointment 10 minutes ago. Why are you still here? Go quickly before the dentist shouts at you. But I believe, you know, let's forget Paris. There's always Paris. If you drive up north, there are places like Liverpool and Dublin that are on the road to Hoedspruit. So we can do international names, but locally rather.
David, I completely agree with you. And for me, I think what small towns sometimes suffer from is lack of a big draw card attraction. So people think, oh, well, why should I go to Springbok? There's nothing there. However, if you connect Springbok to a whole bunch of other small towns as part of a road trip,
Yep.
then you're in for something special, because then you're going to get a little bit of Springbok, and then you're going to drive on to the next place, the Namakwa National Park, and spend some time in the Namakwa National Park. Then you're going to drive to Lambert's Bay and have some oysters. And then you're going to drive to Nivotville and have some country hospitality,
Right.
with or without flowers. So I think that road trips are the way to go, rather than say, that's my destination.
I hear what you're saying, and I also will break a road trip. I don't like driving for more than 3.5 hours, and I will find a small town that I can overnight at some B&B or some little tunny that has turned her house into a home for strangers. It happened when my daughter and I went down to Cape Town. We stopped over in Hanover, which is where Mark Banks used to have a little guest house. He doesn't have it any longer. He's moved on to Carletsdorp. But the woman Tanny that took us in for the evening, we actually adopted them because Tanny Tosi was just the best thing since sliced bread. She was absolutely wonderful. And this is a decade ago, and we're still in contact. And she keeps saying, when are you coming down again? So we put it on a bucket list for next year to do another road trip. And I think it's the way to see South Africa. And I don't even think people should plan, they should maybe take a book like yours and go, all right, these are the towns in the area. This is the time frame that I've got. So let me just get into the car and drive. If I get there and I can't get into Hotel A, I can go to guest house B. Worst comes to worst, you'll sleep in your car and you can wash at the gas station.
Been there. Let's be honest, I have been there. Yes, I absolutely agree. There isn't a single small town in South Africa that won't reward an hour of your time.
Yeah.
Whether it's meeting somebody on the street or taking you and me, we take our cameras with us.
Yeah.
So you walk around the street, you chat to people, you take photographs. There really isn't a small town in the country that won't give you a little bit of a reward for just taking that moment just to check it out. Really, there isn't. There's always something to see. I do have to make one clarification, though. If you read my book, More Than Daisies, A Hidden History of Namaqualand and the Richtersveld. So this is actually volume 2 in my Hidden History series.
Okay.
The first one is Fair Game, A Hidden History of the Kruger National Park. So this is volume 2. And once again, the first half of the book is a popular history of the area, going back, and it's actually a fascinating region. Again, history is endlessly rewarding. If you dig in a little bit, this so-called barren wasteland has a history of copper mining. It has a history that goes back to Simon van der Stel's great expedition. It includes all kinds of mountain pass explorers and navigators. It includes shipwrecks. It includes mines and the ups and downs of the various mining companies. It's a really interesting story, an interesting small town story. And then the second half is a planning guide. Where to go, where to stay, what to expect, what routes to take, what interesting places to check out, that kind of thing. Now, when you say Namaqualand, you think spring daisies. So here's what I need to tell you about spring daisies from a planning point of view. The window's small, all right? The window is approximately, depending on the rains, because it depends when the winter rains come, and then about 6 weeks after that, the flowers start blooming. But roughly speaking, you can say it's mid-August to mid-September, maybe end September. So you've got about
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. In those 4 to 6 weeks, I can tell you, Nivotville in particular, and to a lesser extent, Springbok and the Richtersveld, because they're all part of Namaqualand. It's a big area in Namaqualand, is booked out. Solid. When I was researching this book, my first trip in 2007, there was one night I hadn't booked accommodation. And I thought, How hard can it be? I'm a solo traveler. How hard? I've got a tent. How hard can it be? Let me tell you, it was nothing. Nothing, not a campsite, not a hotel room,
Not
nothing.
Not even a stable that you could.
Nothing. I'm telling you nothing. I had to drive 50 k's down the road to, I think, Klaver. And I found one room that was available in a school that had been converted into a guest house for the duration of the spring flower season. So you do have to book your accommodation in advance for that spring flower season.
All right. And I should imagine, David, that people that go there regularly, and there are those that go year after year, the moment they've been, let's say in 2020, they're already booked for 2021 and possibly even 2022.
Absolutely. And the other factor, which I didn't realize until I went down there, are the bus tours.
Yes.
There are a lot of bus tours because for the ooms and tannies who don't want to take themselves and drive themselves around, the bus tours are very convenient. And I describe in the book, I can actually still picture it was 13 years ago, but I can still picture it. We were at the Van Reinsdorp Hotel, which is just below the pass that goes up to Nieuwoudtville. And I was having supper at the Van Reinsdorp Hotel. And all the ladies and gentlemen from the bus tours were coming down the stairs in their outfits with their hair and the flower things, and they were all so happy and chatting and talking and hugging their celebrity flower guide who was guiding them around. It was a real scene, and I really enjoyed that. It was such a throwback to a different era. But yes, there are a lot of bus tours, and they're the ones who book up the hotels.
David, so just be aware, basically. I want to throw a left field question at you. Tell me about David Fleminger in Matric. What were you like? What were your dreams and aspirations in Matric?
I think I was pretty much the same as I am now, to be absolutely honest with you. I don't think I've changed very much. Part of me is still that kid in Matric. I haven't really grown up. It's something I've fought against is growing up and becoming an adult. But I was kind of myself. I was a big mouth. I don't think I was mean or anything, but I've always been opinionated. Words come quickly out of my mouth. I've never had that as an issue. And I enjoyed Matric. I wasn't too stressed about it. And I think that I'm in many ways the same kind of person. I still loved traveling back then. I still loved reading back then. I liked history back then. I liked connecting dots and making sense of stuff. And I think when my Matric and my university career, because I wasn't focused on a so-called professional career, become an accountant, become a lawyer, become a whatever, I was really interested in information and knowledge, and I was curious. And I think that hasn't changed. For me, education is about expanding your worldview, understanding things, finding out why and how and when things connect. And so I wasn't driven by marks or fitting into everything or being, what they expected me to be. I was just curious and I enjoyed knowledge. And I think that's kind of still who I am now, although I was deputy head boy. Thank you very much.
I asked this question of a photographer friend of mine, and he said to me, keeping out of jail was his main objective in the trick.
No, I was a good boy. I was a good boy, more or less.
What is that movie, Sliding Doors, where minimal change can make such a difference? I mean, I always wanted to be a game ranger. Now they're called field guides, but I didn't have maths and science. And if you just wanted to drive a Jeep for the rest of your life, you didn't need it. But if you wanted to get anywhere, you needed that to become a vet, perhaps. And now the wheel has turned full circle. I'm actually working for a guiding organization. So it's taken me 50 odd years to get there. But eventually, if you're persistent and patient enough, it all comes home to roost. Are there areas in either Namaqualand or the Richtersveld that you would maybe go back to, or perhaps think of retiring to, David, spending the rest of your time there?
I'll tell you, the answer to the second part of your question is not really. Purely because For me, my happy place, my retirement village, my retirement dream, my retirement goal is the Drakensberg.
Okay.
That's my spot. More than the Kruger, more than the beaches, more than the Karoo, more than any of our amazing landscapes in this country. The Drakensberg is the place that fills my heart the most. So I've already got my eye on a trout farm in the Drakensberg. I'm looking for partners. Anybody want to become a partner in my trout farm in the Drakensberg? I've found it. It's available. But that's my retirement goal is Drakensberg. Are there places I would go back to? Absolutely, 100%. In fact, I am dying to go back there. So just to fill in a little bit. So this book, this More Than Daisies book, was actually it's a substantial revision of a previous book I wrote about the Richtersveld in particular in 2007.
Okay.
And for that, and this has now been substantially revised from that and expanded to include more of Namaqualand, whereas the other one was the World Heritage Site, which is the Richtersveld only. So while I was going through it, I couldn't travel because it was COVID, so I couldn't go and check things up. I had to use the internet. But I was reliving the memories, and I was going through my photographs and looking at the places where I had been and what I was, the things I had seen and the people I had met, because very friendly people, lovely connections I made all over the place. And I was dying to go back, especially I can definitely mention the Richtersveld National Park is a very special place. It's remote, it's pretty rugged, it's a long way away. You have to go to Springbok, and then you got to go to Port Nolloth, up to Alexander Bay, and then across, and then up into the Richtersveld, which borders Namibia, just below the Fish River Canyon, basically. It's a rugged reserve, but it is spectacular. Kokerboom Kloof, with this colony of thousands of kokerboom trees in this rocky valley. It's very sharp, jagged, bare mountains. There's not a lot of vegetation, but these angular rocks with different colors, the aloes, the succulents. It was just a spectacular place to go drive around along the Orange River. Where there was camping, there were a couple of chalets as well in various places, but it's a really special place. And if you have the right vehicle and the time, that should be a bucket list. If you ever do the Namaqualand trip, fit that in, because 3 or 4 days in Richtersveld National Park, it's something you haven't seen before. It's a remarkable place. I'd love to go back there. I loved Port Nolloth. Lovely, weird, little, crazy seaside dorpy, with like just a nice vibe. Just cheerful, friendly. The water's too cold to swim in, but anyway, what you going to do? Alexander Bay, I did not like. It's a horrible town. Unfortunately, well, it was Alex Core. Now has been ceded, because another big section of the book talks about the whole land claim, because the community in the Richtersveld won a land claim against Alex Core to get the diamonds along the Orange River. And that's had a whole bunch of repercussions, some good, some not so good, unfortunately, that's affected that whole area. So Alexander Bay is pretty depressed, but the Orange River mouth, which is just about a kilometer up the beach from Alexander Bay, is incredible. And there's no facilities. There's nowhere, you park your car on the beach, you walk up the beach, you climb a dune, and there it is. There's literally there's no development there, and it could do with such a visitor center or something. It's an amazing place. Thousands of flamingos standing in the water, birds wheeling overhead. Just amazing, amazing, amazing place. Nieuwertville is a lovely town. It really is an amazing place. I'd love to go back, especially in flower season. And it's got a very well-established tourism infrastructure. Their nature reserve, their botanical gardens. In spring flower season, it's not packed because it's small, so it doesn't take much to get packed.
Yeah,
but it's breathtaking. You turn the corner and it's like wildflowers just spreading up the side of the mountain, and kokerbooms on that side, and there's a waterfall. There's a huge waterfall, and it's really something to see. And of course, all the West Coast towns on the Lambert's Bay. Namakwa National Park is another spectacular natural space.
West Coast is on our list for next year.
So book now, Dave.
I will do.
and do a spring flower Namaqualand trip.
Because
Sure.
two of us had decided a few years ago we were going to cycle the West Coast to raise money for a charity of some sort. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, that fell through. It didn't work out. And then I said to my partner, I said to Brian, why don't we do it in a tuk-tuk? And my wife was sort of, okay, tuk-tuk's a little bit safer than a bicycle. So I went off to find out about tuk-tuks. I did not know that the top speed of a tuk-tuk is 25 kilometers an hour. I would still be on that Brian and I would still be on that West Coast road with my wife driving behind us screaming, it's time to go home.
Yeah, you absolutely would. Distances are not short in that part of the world.
Not at all.
And I got to tell you, the thought of cycling up the West Coast fills me with horror. I hate bicycles. I hate them. They hurt my bum. They make me sore. I don't get them. I just don't get them. Give me a car with 4 wheels and I'm happy. But definitely do it. Do it. In fact, I'm gonna drop off a copy of this More Than Daisies with you.
Thank you so much.
You can go through it.
Appreciate it.
And get some ideas.
David, people who want to buy the book from you, how do they go about it? Where is it available? And more importantly, what's next for you? If the Drakensberg is your passion, are we going to see Drakensberg, The Hidden Years?
Yes, the answer to that is yes. So the Hidden History series is ongoing. I have now published 2. And what I'm actually doing is I am revising my old travel books, which are now out of date and out of print, but still contain some good information, especially the historical stuff.
Yeah.
So I am revising and updating all those books as I have time, unfortunately, because, I've got to earn an income as well through corporate work and stuff that doesn't excite me. But anyway, that's a different story. So next up, in no particular order, I will be releasing A Hidden History of Lesotho, A Hidden History of Swaziland, A Hidden History of Mapungubwe World Heritage Site, which is up by Musina, which is another amazing place that you should be checked out. And I will also be working on A Hidden History of the Drakensberg as well. Those will all come up.
Okay, which will end, the Drakensberg one will end with a back page which people can tear out and post to you because they want to buy into your trout farm.
Now we're talking. now we're talking.
So the back page will be perforated. So how do they get hold of the current More Than Daisies, which is A Hidden History of Namaqualand and the Richtersveld?
Well, thank you for asking that question, David. So the book is available on my website, which is davidfleminger.co.za or .com, both work. That's Fleminger, Fleminger. It is available at a special price. Normally, it's 275 Rand in the shops. On my website, it's 200 Rand. So that is a good discount. And if you ask me, I will sign it with pleasure. So that's available for order on my website. It is also available on takealot.com.
Right.
And it is available as an Amazon Kindle ebook on Amazon and as an Amazon print on demand. And if you happen to be in Springbok, it is available for sale at the Springbok Lodge. I managed to get it into the Springbok Lodge, which is a remarkable institution, which if you're ever in Springbok, you must go check out. It's a great place. It's got a bit of everything. It's got snacks. It's got semi-precious stones. It's got quite a good book selection. They sell burgers. It's just a remarkable weird little place, and I like it a lot. So that's where the book is available.
David, thank you so much. My in-conversation guest has been David Fleminger. We've been talking about More Than Daisies, The Hidden History of Namaqualand and the Richtersveld, and you can get it from a variety of different sources. More specifically, if you go to David's website, davidfleminger.co.za or davidfleminger.com, he will put you into the right direction to obtain your copy. Once again, David, thanks so much for being a guest.
David, it's a great pleasure as always, and I look forward to the next time.